Suppose you accidentally travel to the Roman Colosseum 2,000 years ago. Your survival time will not exceed 11 seconds, because there are 36 secret doors under the floor. The speed at which the beasts are ejected from the floor faster than you can turn your head. And around you, 50,000 people are cheering, and no one will save you. In 100 days, 9,000 beasts were killed. Tens of thousands of people died on the yellow sand. Blood is seeped into the cracks in the stone. It can't be washed off for 2,000 years. At the craziest time, the Romans filled the arena with water. Hundreds of people fought a real naval battle inside. The water turned red. 50,000 people stood up and applauded. But what really makes people's hair stand on end is not these killings, but the people who built this hell. Without steel bars, no cement, without any modern technology, it was built by hand. It was built in 8 years. It can evacuate 50,000 people in 10 minutes. This efficiency, which the world can't do today. The Romans built a perfect killing machine and called it civilization. But did you know that this killing machine, its birth, was actually related to the suicide of a tyrant? In 68 AD, the most notorious emperor in Roman history, Nero, stabbed himself in the throat with a dagger. What did this man do during his reign? He killed his mother and forced his wife to death. And in the center of Rome, he built a palace for himself called the Golden Palace. How exaggerated was this palace? With artificial lakes, private forests, and gilded walls. The dining room ceiling was made of ivory, which can rotate automatically, and flowers and perfumes can be sprinkled from the gaps. The best area in the whole city of Rome was occupied by him alone. The common people hated him. After Nero's death, Rome fell into chaos within a year. There were 4 emperors in 1 year. The last one to stand up was Vespasian, a general who was not noble. The first thing he did was to distance himself from Nero and regain the hearts of the people. How to win? He made a decision to fill in Nero's elaborate artificial lake on it and build an entertainment venue for all Romans. This decision directly changed the history of human architecture. In 72 AD, 80,000 Jews from the battlefield in Jerusalem, Jews captured from the battlefield in Jerusalem, were taken to Rome. Their task was to use their own sweat and blood to build this giant beast stone by stone. These stones are called travertine, all from Tivoli, 30 kilometers east of Rome. Each stone weighed several tons. They were dragged to Rome by ox carts and then lifted them to a height of dozens of meters. According to archaeologists' estimates, the entire building consumed over 100,000 cubic meters of stone. 300 tons of nails were used to fix the stones. Thousands of workers worked on the site every day. Architects, masons, blacksmiths, carpenters. Each trade worked together like a precision machine. It took only 8 years. In 80 AD, Titus, the son of Vespasian, announced the Colosseum was officially completed. To celebrate, he ordered a celebration that lasted 100 days, and what happened during these 100 days would be enough to suffocate any modern person. 5,000 beasts were transported from Africa and the Middle East: lions, tigers, elephants, rhinos, crocodiles, even giraffes. 3,000 gladiators were pushed onto the arena. The beasts were ejected from the underground doors, and gladiators met them with weapons. 50,000 people on the stands shouted. Some were betting on who would die first, while others ate bread and drank wine. After 100 days, the yellow sand was soaked countless times by blood. Workers had to lay new sand every day to cover up the blood. By the way, do you know where the word arena comes from? The word arena comes from the Latin word arena, which means sand. The function of sand is not just to increase friction, but more importantly, it absorbs blood. But the 100-day opening ceremony was just the beginning. In the following hundreds of years, this building has hosted the craziest performances in human history. And these performances were so shocking, not brute force, but engineering genius. Let's start with the ground, the central performance area of the Colosseum, with a long axis of 86 meters and a short axis 54 meters. The ground was covered with wooden boards and covered with fine sand. But the real horror is under the wooden boards. There is a 2-story deep underground labyrinth. The Romans called it the Underground Palace. In 1996, German archaeologist Heinz Best systematically surveyed this underground world for the first time. He said a sentence that I finally understood why no one dared to study it comprehensively before, because it was too complex to study. There are 15 corridors in the underground palace, one of them leading directly to the gladiator training hall east of the Colosseum. On both sides of the corridor are densely packed cells holding the beasts and gladiators waiting to play. Imagine you are squatting in a narrow and dark stone cage with 50,000 people cheering above your head. The air is filled with the smell of blood and the roar of beasts. Then the winches start to rotate. The lift platform under your feet slowly rises. The moment the plank opens, the sunlight shines directly into your eyes. You can't see anything. But 50,000 people are already screaming. This lifting system is the most exquisite design in the entire underground palace. The winch-driven lift platform can lift the beast, scenery, or even an entire tree from the ground to the ground. The gladiator doesn't know which secret door the beast will appear, nor do the audience. This uncertainty is the greatest drama. According to archaeological research, these trapdoors and lifting devices can operate simultaneously in a very short time, allowing multiple beasts to appear simultaneously from different directions. You can imagine that picture. A gladiator stands in the center of the arena, and suddenly a lion pops out from the left, and a bear rushes out from the right, and a leopard emerged behind him. 50,000 people went crazy. Besides the outside, the Colosseum is 57 meters high, equivalent to 15 floors, with 4 outer walls, with 80 arches on each of the first 3 floors. These 80 arches are not just decorations, but also 80 entrances. Each entrance has a number. The audience find the corresponding archway by the number and go straight to the seats along the stairs. 50,000 people can enter without congestion. It can be evacuated in 10 minutes. This design concept is still used in large stadiums around the world today. The design from 2,000 years ago is still the industry standard today. The seating arrangement is also exquisite. At the bottom is the emperor's private box and senate, with marble seats for nobles. Then knights and wealthy merchants. Then come ordinary citizens. The top floor, there are no standing tickets, leaving seats for the poor, slaves, and women. Yes, women and slaves were placed on the same floor. It's not just an arena, it's a microcosm of the entire Roman social hierarchy, the class divide carved in stone. There's another detail. There's a giant awning on top of the Colosseum. It was not ordinary workers who controlled it, but sailors of the Roman Empire Navy. They applied their sailing skills here. They controlled the opening and closing of the canvas. Hundreds of sailors stood on the top floor, pulling the ropes simultaneously. The giant curtain slowly unfolds. This was not architecture, but it was a performance. But this performance was destined to end one day. During the Colosseum's existence for hundreds of years, it's estimated that 500,000 to 700,000 people died. Countless North African beasts were transported to Rome, with a mortality rate of 70%. Barbary lions, once a majestic species throughout North Africa, were captured and sent to the Colosseum, eventually went extinct. A building extinguished a species in 312 AD. Constantine the Great tried to ban the gladiator games, but failed. The Roman poet Juvenal said that the people only desired 2 things, bread and circuses. The Colosseum was the circus. The emperor used free performances to appease the people, and the people rewarded the emperor with cheers, a trade with blood as currency. It wasn't until 523 AD that the gladiator games were completely banned. The Roman Empire was already crumbling at that time and could no longer afford such luxurious killing. For more than 1,000 years, the Colosseum's fate was worse than that of gladiators. In the Middle Ages, it was converted into a fortress and later became a cemetery. The space under the arcade was converted into housing and even rented out. What's even more outrageous is that the Romans began to demolish their ancestors' masterpiece. The travertine was chiseled off piece by piece and used to build churches and palaces. In the 15th century, the Vatican, to build St. Peter's Basilica, directly removed stones from the Colosseum. Many old buildings you see in Rome today, in the walls, may have a stone from the Colosseum hidden inside. According to statistics, almost all the south side of the Colosseum's outer wall, so the Colosseum you see today, is half high and half low. It wasn't caused by earthquakes, but was demolished by its own people. Until 1749 AD, the Pope declared the Colosseum a holy place and declared the Colosseum a holy place. The demolition stopped. Ironically, this reason was later proven to be unfounded. But anyway, it saved the Colosseum from being completely destroyed. 2,000 years have passed. The Colosseum still stands. Only half of it remains. Most of the stones have been stolen. Earthquakes and winds and rains have battered it, but it still stands. It is the most contradictory monument in human history. It proves how smart we are and how cruel we can be. Every stone is engraved with two words. One is genius, and the other is savage. And the distance between these two words might be much closer than we think.